Hey, my friend, it's Greg Schweitzer here at Catalyst Transformation Institute. And if you can tell, I'm actually outside. Really? This is my front yard. And I love it here. We've got this xeriscape. We've got this nice pine trees in our yard. It's a beautiful fall day. And I wanted to come outside and hang out with you for a few minutes. And today, I really wanted to be able to spend some time teaching you some really good things that I believe are going to be really helpful for you in what I call winning the fight. Okay, so we all know that good things don't come easy, or they don't come by themselves. Sometimes they come easy, but they don't just happen. And the fact of the matter is, this video is called The Four Categories of Winning the Fight. And sometimes the fight feels like hard. And sometimes the fight feels like, bring me in. I'm put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. That kind of a thing. But here's four categories, four things that you must know in order to win the fight. Because what you're after matters. You either have a mission, or you have a dream, or you have a goal, or you have people you want to help, which I hope is always the case, right? We all can use good help. So get out there and help some people. But whatever it is, there's going to be four key things to pay attention to that's going to help you navigate the fight. There's nothing like going into a fight blind. Ugh, right? Could you imagine? Could you imagine having to get into a fight and somebody blindfolded you and you're like, okay, how am I supposed to figure this out, right? I mean, all we'd be worried about is the amount of pain that was coming at us. So let's do it the right way. All right, here it is. Category number one for winning the fight, right? Got to know what to fight for. Seriously. I mean, sometimes things can feel like a fight, but what are you fighting for? Like, what has great meaning and value to you that it's worth fighting for? This is where it comes down to our priorities in life. Like, what's a priority? Because sometimes we may be tied up in things that just aren't very important. They aren't really much of a priority. This comes down to our values, right? What do you value in life? What are the things that are most important to you in your life? And are you fighting to keep those things? We generally want to, right? But what are they specifically? Because there's nothing worse than not having something to fight for. What about your dreams? What about the people in your life that you need to fight for? My friends, sometimes life can be grand and beautiful fall days like this, and sometimes it can just be hard. It can be harsh. And who are those people who might just need a smile, a lift up, help moving across town, or whatever the thing is? Bring me a meal, something like that, okay? What are you fighting for? So first and foremost, the first category in order to win the fight is to know what you're fighting for. Because if you don't know what you're fighting for, what's the point? What's the point in fighting, right? It's like, why should I put myself out there? Why should I step into the ring if I don't even know what's in it for me, okay? Or what's in it that's worth fighting for. All right, category number two, okay? Now, category number two is, how do I say this? It's knowing when to fight and when not to. So one of the things that's really interesting is that sometimes things can really get under our skin, right? Either just because we're tired or we've had enough, or it's just one of those things, right? And just gets under our skin. And we have to ask ourselves, when is it right to fight and when is it right not to? This is about energy management, my friend. Think about that for a minute. We only have a certain amount of energy to be able to do and be and have what we have in our lives, do, be, and have in our life, right? We only have so much of energy in order to do that. And if we're burning it out on things that aren't worth fighting for, or burning it out because we're fighting when we didn't necessarily need to, right? Knowing when to fight and when not to. This is also about endurance, because you can't be fighting all the time. And not everything's a fight. So hopefully you're not approaching this word fight as something like the world's after me, I gotta fight, that kind of thing. That's not it, okay? Because that's one of the problems with knowing when to fight and when not to, okay? So it's not always about that, but it's about endurance. It's about being able to go the 15 rounds, right? To get to the win, to get to the prize. The other next question you have to ask yourself under this is it worth it? Is it really worth it? I want you to understand what I'm talking about when I say this, because to ask you if it's really worth it, sometimes we can get emotionally hijacked around something like, oh, that makes me so frustrated, or, oh, that's just not fair. I feel like I've been wronged, and we want to fight hard for it. But in the end, is it worth the expenditure of the energy and the emotion and all that kind of stuff? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But please know that here's an example. To fight for something just because you don't want to lose. Maybe it's worth just not even fighting for, because I spent a lot of energy on something there just because I didn't want to lose. And quite honestly, Are you really losing? Ask yourself, is this really a win-lose scenario? Do I really even need to fight? Okay. Category number 3. All right. How to fight. Now, this is an interesting one. Okay. So first off, we talked about you got to have something to fight for. Number 2, you've got to know when to fight and when not to fight so you don't waste your time and energy. And then number 3 is you got to know how. Otherwise, you're taking it to the chin all the time. You're getting the wind knocked out of your sails, or the wind knocked out of your gut, for that matter. So this is about skill development. This is about lifelong learning. I'm a huge fan of lifelong learning, right? I'm constantly learning something new, even if it's just something simple. But I love it. My kids teach me stuff. I read stuff. You name it. Watch stuff on TV and the movies and so on and so forth. So I love that. But this is really about skill development, understanding how the world works and what I can do to make things happen, what I can do to fight for those things that are important to me. Other than skill development, what this is also about is what is it that you need to know to do something or to overcome something? Okay, so it's not just about learning stuff to learn stuff, but to learn how to fight. It's like, what do I need to know that's going to help me accomplish what I want to accomplish, or to help me stand against the injustice that's in front of me right now, in a way that preferably is moral and ethical and legal. All right, because when you start fighting dirty like that, or the bad kind of dirty, okay, you end up digging a deeper hole, and that's about knowing when to fight and when not to as well. So, what to fight for, knowing when to fight and when not to, knowing how to fight. And then number 4 is what is a threat and what is not a threat. Now, this is different than knowing when to fight and when not to fight. Okay. Knowing what's a threat and what's not a threat is huge, because sometimes we may take up a cause, right? We may take up a cause and find ourselves going, why did I even begin this to begin with? Why is this even worth my energy and my time? This is what I liken to shadow boxing. Okay, shadow boxing means there's no real opponent. There's nothing really that I'm fighting against. When it comes to knowing when to fight and when not to, there's something definitely there, right, that's opposing us in some way, shape, or form. But when we look at shadow boxing, right, knowing what's a threat and what is not, sometimes there's no threat there at all. And we may get ourselves riled up over nothing. And that's just not good either, okay? That doesn't help us win the fight. Now, think about it this way. You ever seen any of the cartoons or the movies of Peter Pan? One of Peter Pan's favorite activities was to fight his own shadow. Okay, shadow boxing, right? A little fight his own shadow. Now, he did it for entertainment a lot of the time, but if you think about how often you go and you fight something that's not there, doing this shadow boxing, fighting a shadow, you're spending a lot of energy, and when it's all said and done, nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it except for time spent. And man, you don't get that time back. You don't get that time and that energy back. So make sure you know what's a threat and what's not a threat. Look, the bottom line is not everything's hard. Not everything's a fight. But when it's time to fight for that which is really most important to you, when you have your list of non-negotiables about how your life is supposed to be and how things are supposed to be for you and the people that you love, then when it's time to fight, you got to be able to do it right. So know what to fight for. Okay, get clear on that. Know when to fight and when not to. Know how to do the fight. And then just pay attention to if it's a real threat or if it's not a real threat. Look, I'm in your corner. I'm always in your corner. You know that. And reach out to me. Hey, just a little heads up. I've got a little mini series I think I'm going to come up with here in the next maybe a couple of weeks. A little mini series of videos and stuff that I'm going to do for you here. And I think you're going to enjoy it. And I think you're going to enjoy what's on the back end of that as well. So hope you're having a great day. Be great. It's what you're made for. Get out there. Be good. Do good. See you later.